Brian Kelly, one thing that I will say after watching that press conference, and I was watching via video yesterday, Stewie went and represented us up there, was getting some really good B-roll and throwing the microphone in his face, in some of the faces to get some audio. But the more I hear Kelly speak, and we haven't heard him talk a lot, and he actually apologized for that as he was opening his remarks, is that LSU's got the right guy. I really feel like sincere in saying that this is the right person at the right time for LSU football. After the last 15 years of really kind of wondering and curious about what the leadership really was, whether it be in the athletic director's chair or the head coach of the football program, it feels like LSU, and not to steal their term, but is very much aligned in their thinking of how they want to attack the future. And Brian Kelly being one of the figureheads of that, one of the faces that everybody will recognize as a face of LSU. After hearing him speak and seeing just his approach, hearing the calmness in this challenge that he's taking on, I think that, LSU has really been waiting on this guy, this type of personality that can really, from a business sense, understand the magnitude and weight of a corporation like LSU Football, which, makes upwards of $150 million a year, and be able to put the product on the field that is well respected and aligned with the fan base, right? I mean, I think that everybody is going to appreciate the way that Brian Kelly runs the organization. Everybody would debate on whether you were a Miles fan, whether you're an Orgeron fan. I think everybody's going to be a Kelly fan because he's going to represent LSU football and do what he sees is best for the program and run it that way. And he's going to trim all the fat. I told you it was very easy over the last 15 years for somebody like me who has relationships in that building, who covers the program every day, to be comfortable enough to just pull up, park my car, have two things to sign for some clients, walk into an office, could get into Miles or Orgeron's office with a simple knock or get past the secretary and ask if that could be signed, walk into an assistant's office that you may know and sit down and see if you couldn't get some type of information about what's going on in the building that you could come back and report on a unnamed source type place, or go sit down in Stringfellow's office in the equipment room and just sit there and chill and hang out. All that stuff ain't happening anymore. And for a guy like me, it sucks. I mean, you get information, but you were all also over the last decade being like, this is crazy how easy it is to get in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild how you could just like swing a door open, walk straight up, and like next thing you know, you're like knocking on the head coach's door. You mind signing this? No, come on in. Like, all right. That's just an example of, it's a business. It's being run like Alabama football. It's being run like the New England Patriots. It's being run like Notre Dame football. It's a business. It's a professional life that these guys have chosen. He's a football coach. And hearing him speak yesterday, Stewie called and told me yesterday, or he told me this morning when he got into the studio, he's like, one thing's evident, man. I mean, BK's going to be successful. He's going to do it right. And he's going to get it right. And I agree with him. The more you hear him just kind of lay his plan out, attack that plan with good people, the way that he was explaining bringing in coaches, the way he was explaining bringing in HR departments, coaching players, the way that he's building it. Now, look, he's playing and competing in ground zero of, Hell's Kitchen of college football in the SEC Western Division. But it finally feels like LSU is hit on somebody who is organized, understands the game, and is stable. Like, the stability of him is very refreshing. The calmness and confidence of him is very soothing. And just hearing him speak of saying, wow, this is this is going to work out. He's got the time. He's got the contract. He's got the money. He's got the resources. He's got his athletic director above him telling him, everything's pretty much green lit. You're not really going to take anything to my desk that I'm going to shut you down on. And if I got to tell you no, I'm just going to send you to Stephanie. But, I mean, he's got pretty much carte blanche access to every resource in the state. And he's doing it with a business approach and a lot of experience in what he's doing. I'm really impressed with Brian Kelly. And not just from hearing him speak, some of the stuff that you've heard leading up to him getting to the podium yesterday for the first time and having a chance to hear that. Some of his assistants, a lot of his defensive staff was speaking yesterday. Today you'll get to meet the offensive staff. But it feels like LSU got the right person at the right time to run the football program. And LSU feels like they've been waiting on that since 2004. Really? And just like we said when he was hired, Brian Kelly to me is kind of in a class of football coaches that is very selective. And to me, the only people that are in that group, be like a Belichick, a Saban, Mike Tomlin, Brian Kelly. I mean, it's a business to those guys. Everything that comes in and out of the organization is all about how does it benefit the program? How does it benefit the franchise? And if it doesn't, it's out. And if it does, then continue to fertilize it. You find the right people, you put them in spots that you support them and give them the resources and the finances to make things happen. And I think LSU is kind of finding those lanes with good people and right personnel, and Brian Kelly's overseeing that. I'm fired up for LSU football and what they're going to look like over the next couple of years. Next year might be tough, and I think that what they're trying to do right now is build a competitive unit for next season. And like Kelly told you yesterday, if they teed it up today, they're in trouble. But they're going to get right. But I think they're competitive faster than we think. And once they get to the competitive ground where they look around and it's Ohio State here, Alabama there, Georgia right there, Texas A&M right here, and LSU's at the party, they're going to be there for a while. Because it feels like the stability is his biggest asset. I mean, it feels like that's kind of what he's bringing. The 10-year contract spells it out, but then his personality of hearing how he's working behind the scenes and then listening to him speak yesterday at just his approach, he's very refreshing. And not that that wins games, but he don't
instill his confidence.
It doesn't, he's not trying to impress anybody.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
resume
he knows
speaks
that.
For itself.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be the only question. It's not if, it's when. And that's where Baton Rouge will come down on him.
I agree.
Is he'll be knocking on the door, and it's how long will it take to win one?
Yeah.
When will you get to the party? Because there's no doubt he's going to be winning 9 to 10 games at LSU consistently. Then the next step is, will you win? How many national championships can he get us? That's when it'll get uncomfortable for Brian Kelly if he can't do that, which is a great problem to have.